Well, as being a published author, what if there were just a few bits of advice that you would want to give towards someone that may be looking into, whether it be writing, seeking to be an author of some sort, seeking to be a songwriter, professional in that regard, or any kind of artist, fine arts, graphic arts. If somebody's wanting to pursue that,
Yeah.
or maybe if it's just somebody that they just want to get out and do it, if nothing else, for their own pleasure or something to pass down to their children one day. What pieces of advice would you want to give?
Oh man. In all those fields and everything you just mentioned, I'd say the most important thing is the inspiration behind your work. What's driving you. What's that moral you're wanting to teach, or that experience you're wanting to share in your song, and why. And all of that is coming from the inspiration behind your work. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. But I think what messes people up and what causes things like depression or writer's block, or just what halts all these projects, is people forget, and I'm speaking entirely from my own experience, people forget the origin of that inspiration. And, I can look back when I'm writing my best and compare it to the times when I'm at my worst, just not getting anything done or nothing really fresh or creative. And I see a direct correlation with my own relationship with God. And He is the source of my inspiration. And for me to think that any good idea that I've written on paper came from, is original, John Kay, is foolish. Coming from God, and it's Him using my craft, the talents He's given me, to try and convey a message that He wants, others to read or hear, through song or whatever it may be. It's His work. It's His work, and we can't forget that. And whenever you have that perspective, all the hardships that you will surely encounter when you're publishing or producing, when you have that perspective that this is God's work and everything's now in His timing, you'll have more grace for yourself, and you'll have more. You'll be able to fight through those trials and be proud of your work, even because it's His, and not ashamed of it. That's another problem a lot of writers have, is they write fantastic stuff, but it never gets out because they're afraid to hand it to that first editor. And they're ashamed of it. And don't be. There's no perfect work from us. It's God's perfect idea, and then we try and iron it out and get it as presentable as best we can, so other people can read it.
Man, that's some brilliant words, because I've known and spoke with many artists that it seems like that is one of the biggest dilemmas, is you constantly never feel that it's good enough, and so everybody wants to just always work on it and never hand it on to whomever it needs to go to. But to realize, hey, do it as unto the Lord, and do it for His glory, and it'll be okay. So yeah.
Well, I mean, and what I had to kind of call myself out on is it's pride. When you're not handing it off to someone else, and I held on to the third book of my series forever. It was like, this ain't going anywhere. This is awful. But I realized it was pride. This wasn't reaching my own standard that I've set for this book. The Holy Spirit convicted me. It was like, listen, this is the story I've had you craft. Yeah, your grammar stinks, but swallow that pride, give it to Him, let Him work on it. Other people can fix that. I was too worried about my own self-image at that time, and not the ministry that God had, laid on my own heart for me to pursue and do.
Yeah, it's like because from just the fleshly perspective, is that anything that someone creates, it's their baby.
Yeah. It's not your
and
baby.
you don't want somebody messing with your baby.
Right.
But in reality, as you mentioned, it to have the proper perspective of no, like it's something that God placed in your hands.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad you mentioned that, because we wrapped up the podcast with the idea that we were all created to create. We're all produced to produce.
Absolutely.
That the image of God that we were created in. He is a creator. We were meant to create, whether that be somebody that doesn't have any kind of linguistic skill whatsoever, but they can still work with their hands and craft something to still create and produce
Whether it's a business
something good.
or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that same truth really supersedes just the arts, but it can go into every aspect of life as well. So here it is, life lesson with John Kay.
Just sharing what the journey that God's put me through, and everyone's got lessons to share. So, thanks for
Awesome.
giving me the opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you jumping on here, being able to share from your perspective, to let everybody know. Once again, I'll have the link at the bottom of the page so that you'll be able to find his work, whether on Barnes & Noble or whether on Amazon. And you've got your personal website as well. Let everybody know what that is.
Yeah, I'm a stay-at-home dad, and so I keep a blog on those adventures. Stay at home with 3 kids. We got a 4th on the way. That website is jelliotk.com.
jelliotk.com is where you can find that. Again, we'll link that as well. We'll link it up on our website. We'll have a little write-up there that you can find at leftovernashville.com. So, John, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Brody, always a pleasure.